Hello and welcome to the finals of this week's Thursday night Kessel Run tournament. Our two contestants are Steven on the left, playing Tarkin Snoke, and Melvin on the right with his Vader Greedo deck. Both players are going to be running the Theed Royal Palace. Get these guys shuffled up, and we'll get running shortly. Vader's deck is going to focus heavily on Vader and his melee abilities, while Snoke Tarkin will focus on a lot of indirect through power actions. Both sides will get their 2 resources. Both players are undefeated coming into the final round here, so the winner tonight will be the champion. They'll go through their mulligans. Melvin's going to be looking for an upgrade for Vader. Turn 1, preferably his Vader saber. Steven will be looking for ways to power action Tarkin for either the 4 indirect or for resources to get a fist out as soon as possible. Once again, Steven playing on that lovely Outer Rim playmat. For those of you just joining the stream and joining the channel, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. There's the cut. Can't quite see Melvin's hand. Looks like a no good to me dead is the last card I could see. And here's our roll off. Alright, so Steven did win the roll-off. He is going to choose his Theed Palace. That will give Melvin the 2 shields. And Steven will be ahead of the curve, going ahead and having 3 resources to start the round once he power actions. Steven decides to go ahead and activate Tarkin first. He's going to be showing a 2 discard and a 2 indirect. Melvin immediately doubts the 2 discard. Rolls into a resource. Steven will go ahead and take the resources. He's already up to 3. There's the power action on Theed, 4. He's down 1 away from the fist. Can't quite tell if he has it yet, but if he does, that could be a bad sign for Melvin. Melvin will activate Vader, showing a 2 melee and a 2 melee. Steven will hidden motive, calling melee, and he hits the melee side. More than likely, Melvin will go ahead and power action. Try to get that die back in the pool as soon as possible, and he does. He'll discard a Vibro Cutlass. Re-rolls it back in. And guess what? He hits melee. Steven immediately goes ahead and best defenses. He'll take 3 on Tarkin to remove both of those die, and Vader is out for turn 1. Melvin rolls in Greedo, who shows a 1 range. Snoke pops up with a 2 indirect and a resource. Melvin's got that hidden motive in hand. He's probably going to try to call hidden motive. Yep. I assume he's going to call indirect here. And that's what it looks like. He goes ahead and hits the indirect. Steven will take the resource on Snoke. Melvin will shoot 1 into Tarkin. And there's 5 resources for Steven. And there's the fist. Turn 1, he does have it. Fist pops out with a 4 indirect, 1 pay. Of course, Steven does not have the resources currently to pay for that. Melvin's going to try to establish his board early by playing a no good to me dead, healing 2 from Tarkin to give him 2 resources, so now he's at 4. Steven thinking about, and he does, discard the deflect. He wants to get max damage on turn 1. Alright. Rolls into a 2 focus and 2 shields on the fist. Unless Melvin has some kind of major control here. I don't see any need for him to really play a card. That's what he wants to do. Go ahead and grab Theed. Let him get a power action. Be able to control the battlefield. So Steven will resolve the 2 shields on the fist, put them on Tarkin, roll it back out, rolls 2 shields again. Now he can focus with Snoke here. He's debating on if he wants to go ahead and take the shields though and play the long-term game instead of just trying to get damage out early. Okay, so he does. He goes ahead and takes the 2 shields. That's not a bad play. That's 4 extra health that Vader has to chew through. He'll go ahead and shoot 3 into Vader, popping 2 shields and putting in 1. And that looks like that's going to be end of the round. Moving on to round 2. Steven's board state is much stronger than Melvin's is right now, but Melvin does have the battlefield and plenty of resources for a fist of his own. Fist is one of those few cards that can immediately turn a game around for an opponent. You'll see somebody way behind on damage. Immediately the fist turns around, and there's at least, in most cases, at least 6 damage, if not 9 or 10. So Melvin draws up. He looks like he has a dark saber in his hand. He's going to pay for something here. Pays for 3. Looks like probably a delve or a Vader saber. Okay, so he's going to delve. That'll do him 1 indirect. That'll go into Greedo. Allows him to play an upgrade in his hand for free, or a support. And he plays a Vader's fist. I like that play. That is a good play for delve. It saves you 2 resources. It does an indirect to a character who you have no desire to keep alive. So the fist rolls out a 3 indirect, and Steven goes ahead and drops down the Sith Holocron on Snoke. Melvin, thinking over his options, decides to go ahead and roll out Vader. There's a blank. Looks like a 2 shield. Maybe a 2 resource. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Steven just now drawing his resources. That's one thing Steven needs to remember, is to draw resources per round during the upkeep phase. It's very important to have your board state ready at all times. Steven will pay 1 to go ahead and feel your anger. And he'll remove the 2 side. Once again, that will let Melvin power action it back into the pool. Question is, what does Melvin discard in order to roll it back in? There's that dark saber again. He must have some good control if he's willing to consider the dark saber as a discard. Okay, discards friends in high places. I think that's a much better play. You're only 1 away from the dark saber. If you get a resource and he allows you to resolve it, you play the dark saber and you get it the next turn. And Melvin power actions it in, gets a 2 melee on Vader. Steven will go ahead and activate Tarkin. Tarkin's showing a 1 focus and a 2 focus, so Tarkin's power action is live. He could remove both of the focus sides, deal 4 indirect. I don't think he'll do that this early in the game, but that's always a possibility. Okay, and there's 3 indirect. He'll take those on the shields. Steven dropping down a chance cube. He does have the resource to pay for it. Melvin goes ahead and resolves 2 into Tarkin. Snoke will activate. So we have a blank, 3 resource, special on the holocron, and a focus. With Tarkin on the field, the great thing about the combo of Chance Cube and Sith Holocron is both sides have at least a 33% chance of hitting blanks. And if your opponent is not actively looking for combo matches, that's easy 4 indirect. 4 indirect on something that you normally could not resolve. Alright, so Melvin's going to power action, bring in the fist. He does spot Vader, so he has to turn the die. Even if it lands on the side he wants, he is forced by the card to spot Vader and turn the die. So we rolled into a 4 indirect, changed it over to a 3 range. Steven still has yet to activate the fist. He has a special in the holocron, so if he has a force ability in his hand, he can swap it out for that. It would return the holocron to his hand for possible discard or to drop it back down. Okay, Steven goes ahead, just resolves the chance cube for 3 resources. Melvin goes ahead and resolves the fist. Steven will put that into Tarkin. So he does swap out the Sith Holocron for a force push. Rolls it out, paying the resource for it, and he gets the 2 range on it. Melvin lolling over his options here. Tarkin's down to 5 health remaining. Snoke is fully health. Melvin rolling it off the table. He's going to re-roll that, of course. Lands on a 2 shield. So Steven uses the 1 focus on Tarkin to focus the force push into a special. Melvin will just resolve the fist for 2 shields. Here comes Steven. Steven hits the 4 indirect. Would have to pay a resource to resolve that. He does have 2 though, so that will not be a problem. Melvin will overconfidence Tarkin's die and the fist. More than likely, the fist will stay in play. And it does. I'm going to re-roll. Tarkin rolled a 1 focus. And the fist now showing a 2 shield currently. So here's the great thing about Vader. Currently, if you're looking at both board states, Steven has 2 upgrades on Snoke. He has ability of a strong second character in Tarkin, and both players have Fist. But Vader is such a powerful character on his own that he almost mitigates anything that Snoke can do with multiple dice in the pool, or Tarkin with his power action. Steven reconsidering his options. He's going to go ahead and just resolve the 2 shields. He still has a power action to roll it back into the pool. Steven asking Melvin, has he already power actioned, which he has. Another thing to make sure that we have plenty of tokens of some sort to recognize when a power action occurs, so your opponent is made aware of that. Steven will roll power action in the fist with a 3 disrupt. Greedo is yet to be activated. Steven has 4 die in the pool right now. Four dice. I should say. Greedo rolls a 1 disrupt. More than likely probably going to see a reroll here from Steven. He needs to try to catch up quickly in the damage phase. Okay, so he goes ahead and decides to focus instead. Those 2 blanks will allow him to deal 4 indirect. Melvin will go ahead and just discard to reroll. Yep. Steven goes ahead and just hidden motives immediately on that. He's going to call melee. And he hits it. Power action on Vader's already been used, so that dies out of the pool. Melvin has nothing else to do. He's going to go ahead and claim. Steven power actions Tarkin. That'll be 4 indirect. He takes 2 on the shields. Probably at least take 1 on Greedo, if not both of them. Yeah, he goes ahead and takes them all on Greedo. Steven will pop the last 3 into Vader. And for his last card, he'll drop down Sith Holocron again. Hopefully he'll be able to draw another Force ability in his hand next turn to swap out for the Holocron. And we're off into turn 3. Steven's going to start with 4 resources this round. Melvin will have 5. Alright, so Vader's at 11 health. Greedo's at 4 health. Snoke is fully healthy. Tarkin is at 5 health, but he does have 2 shields, so 7 effective health. Alright. Melvin rolls out the fist. He's going to go ahead and power action it now. Rolls out into a 4 indirect to pay 1, but with Vader he has to resolve that or turn it to a different side, so he turns it to the 3. Steven immediately deflects that back into Vader, so that'll take 2 into Vader, putting him at 6. 9 health remaining. Deflect is a card that has made a strong comeback with the amount of range sides that have been showing up in the meta. Vader is, for the most part, except for maybe a Kit Ayla deck, the only melee sides that are legitimate and strong in the meta currently. Alright, so Melvin activates Vader. He's going to roll a 4 melee with a 1 cost and a 2 resource. If you were to take the 4 damage to Tarkin, that would put Tarkin at 8 with 3 health remaining. Steven mulling over his options here. Alright, Steven's going to go ahead and pay 2 for a Beguile. So he'll re-roll the 4 side. He'll blank that one and then go ahead and just remove the 2 resource side. There's a power action. See a 4 strike in Melvin's hand. He'll definitely hold on to that. So he discards a no good to me dead to roll that character die back in the pool. And gets a blank. Alright, here comes Tarkin. Tarkin's going to roll a resource and a blank. Yep, and there's that 4 strike we talked about. That'll go ahead and pop 4. Or he chooses to pop 3. So Tarkin's at 2 health left. Alright, here comes Snoke with a 2 indirect, 1 focus, special, and 2 blanks. Once again, that power action of Tarkin is online with the multiple blanks. This deck has so much indirect in it. If you can get it out early, it kills Greedo, because they're going to put it all on Greedo first. Yeah, there's a change to make sure the damage is correct, and that's what it should be at on Tarkin. The issue is Melvin so far has done a good job of controlling the amount of indirect that's come his way. He's going to go ahead and just activate the fist now. Alright, rolls it in, gets a 2 shield on it. I think if Melvin had any major control, he would go ahead and use it to try to mitigate some dice now. So Steven will go ahead and focus to a 2 focus on Tarkin. It's going to focus Tarkin to a 2 indirect, and looks like Snoke to a 2 indirect as well. So we see a paid off in Melvin's hand. Okay, looks like Steven wants to take that action back. Okay, so he doesn't take it back, but he goes ahead and decides to blank the Snoke. Both players agree to that. It was still within Steven's turn. I think at a regional, Steven just needs to take that extra second to make sure he wants to do that before declaring his intention. But here locally, we're fine. We just want to play the games to try to get better. So Melvin will he'll play paid off. So he's going to give Steven 2 resources. Now which die? Oh, he goes immediately for the force push. That will change 2 dice, and there it is. Steven loves that card. Great play by Melvin. Now that does put Tarkin's power action on still, but I don't think he minds at this point. Fist is going to come out with a 3 indirect. Melvin thinking about power actioning Theed, but decides he's not going to. He's going to go ahead and take the 2 shields, and Steven will go ahead and resolve the 3 indirect. So he'll probably just take the 2 shields off, which he does, and puts the 1 other indirect into Greedo. Melvin power actions on Theed, gets his resource when no neutral character cannot take an additional action. So Melvin is power actioned out for the round. Steven has all 3 of his power actions still available. He's going to discard a force jump to re-roll. Alright, re-rolls into a disrupt, some blank, a 2 resource, and a 2 indirect. Greedo will come out. Rolling some damage, 2 indirect. The longer Greedo stays alive, the more important he becomes to the game, because he just continually pecks at you, 50% chance of damage. So Fist comes out on the power action with a 2 shield. Melvin will resolve the 2 indirect. Steven goes ahead and just puts that into Snoke. Snoke will be at 9 health remaining. Steven debating. He discards in anger to reroll. It's like he's just going to reroll 2 die or 3 die. Definitely see a discard and a 2 indirect side out there. Melvin's going to look through his discard pile to think about what he has coming up. So he discards a Vader saber to reroll. Gets a 3 melee. And with no cards in hand, Steven will be able to pay 1 to Imposing Presence. He could have removed 2 if 2 were in the pool, but because there's only 1, he can remove that 1. Melvin will just claim at this point. Still excited about that paid off play. Okay, so Steve's going to take two shields on Tarkin. Melvin's going to have to put 4 indirect into his character, so he goes ahead and just puts 3 more into Greedo. So Greedo will be at 1. And Vader's at L8 with 7 health remaining. It looks like we are heading off to the next round. This will be round 4. Melvin will have 5 resources this round, and Steven also will have 5 resources. I think the Vibro Cutlass is an interesting choice. In this deck, I understand it has redeploy, but when you put it on a yellow character, you don't have to pay the resource cost, but if you put it on Vader, you still have to pay that resource cost on it. It's not necessarily a huge deal because Vader can make money, but I almost like the idea of 2 Dark Sabers compared to 1 Vibro Cutlass. It gives you a better chance of getting out that first Dark Saber, and then the other one you would use as a discard to reroll. But nonetheless, Melvin decides to roll out the fist as his first action. He will power action on Vader, and he's going to turn it to the 3 range side. Yep. That'll force Tarkin to roll out. Tarkin rolls a 2 indirect and a 2 focus. With Snoke's power action, that could be 4 indirect. And unless you want to keep Greedo alive for some reason, you need to take at least 1 on Greedo and then save Vader. So he does 3 into Tarkin, pops 2 shields and 1 damage. There's 1 for a stifle. That'll help control his dice this round, at least for 1 turn. Melvin laughs it off and decides I'm just going to roll out Vader. Vader hits the 4 pay 1 and the 2 resource. It's enough to kill Tarkin. Does Steven have anything to mitigate the 4 melee, or is he just going to maybe try to power action and get as much damage as he can before Tarkin gets blown off the field? Steven still does have a fully loaded Snoke available. And if he has a Force ability in his hand, that Holocron will come in play. So Snoke will power action, deal a damage to Tarkin, and he's going to go ahead and do 4 indirect. That's pretty much going to kill Greedo. And he does choose to go ahead and kill Greedo. With Greedo's ability, he'll be able to roll in and resolve it. He gets a 2 indirect. That's going to go into... So he pops 1 into Tarkin, and he's going to put 1 onto Snoke. And he places the other 3 on Vader. So Vader at 4 health remaining. Melvin can still go ahead and kill Tarkin at any point. He has plenty of resources, though, to pay for any type of mitigation. Seeing overconfidence in his hand. Let's see. Looks like a doubt in the bottom of his hand. Alright, so he figures he has nothing else to do right now, so he's going to go ahead and kill Tarkin off. That's an overkill. If you're Steven, you're happy about that play. That saves Snoke pretty much to do what he wants to this round. So that's what he does. He decides to roll out Snoke. Snoke rolls out a bunch of specials, a resource, and a blank. Melvin will drop down the Force Illusion. You have to remember that Stifle is in play as well. So here comes the fist. Fist rolls 3 indirect. Or 2 shields, I'm sorry, it rolls 2 shields. Melvin will play doubt, but that's going to immediately get taken out by Stifle. Steven thinking over his options here. All his dice are in the pool, so if he wants to discard a reroll, he can. He decides to impose in presence. Melvin can power action back in if he chooses to. So he's just going to overconfidence. The holocron in the fist. Changes his mind. Okay, so he does a force push instead. Force push rolls a special. And the fist does a 3 indirect. Melvin debating on whether to take it damage-wise or just take it on the illusion. He'll go ahead and take that on the illusion. I think that's a smart play. So there's 3. There's his second Vader's Fist. There's a price of failure, which is no good to him anymore. Melvin will roll out the fist. Steven will discard his second chance cube to reroll. Alright, he's got a blank and some focus showing. Melvin will discard to reroll. And he can't draw a card because that's not on the character, that's just a support. Steven will power action his and bring it in. Melvin has only a hidden motive left. He needs to try to survive this round and then try to get out early ahead of Steven next round. Okay, so Melvin's just going to take 2 shields. Here's a 2 focus on Snoke. Melvin goes ahead and hidden motives. I think he's going to call range here, but it doesn't really matter because even if it's indirect, he's still going to be able to do damage to him. Okay, so the fizz stays in the pool. He has no cards left. Steven will discard a reroll. Melvin will go ahead and just power action Theed, gain his resource. There's 3 into Vader. Melvin counting his damage, showing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Steven still needs 3 damage. So the last card in Steven's hand looks like he's showing it to Melvin. He's got a Force Wave. And he does have the special on the holocron, so he's going to be able to swap that out, pay the 1 to bring in the Force Wave. And if he hits a special on it, he could be able to do 3 damage, and that immediately kills Vader, and that's the end of the game. Okay, so he goes ahead and does 2 indirect off of Snoke. He does swap out the holocron for the Force Wave. Rolls out a resource. He's going to use that holocron to discard a reroll. And he rolls into the 2 indirect, and that's going to do it. Great game between Steven and Melvin tonight. Melvin hung in there late till the end, but Steven's going to be our champion tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe our videos. We will see you next week for more Thursday night Kessel runs.